Pandas is one of the most popular libraries in Python for data science, machine learning, and AI. It is one of my personal favorite libraries, and it's extensively used to read data and to process data. It's literally one of the best ways, because oftentimes data comes in a tabular format where you have rows and columns, right? Of course, I can store rows and columns of a data in a NumPy array also. But as we will see, pandas has a bunch of very useful functions which will help us wherever you have wherever you have tabular data, wherever you have rows and columns. Python, within Python, pandas is one of the most powerful libraries, especially to process tabular data, right? And in data science and machine learning and AI, we do a lot of analysis of data which is stored in tables, and hence pandas has become one of the most popular and my personal favorites. Now let's see why it is useful. I'll give you an example by comparing it against using by comparing against how can we do the same tasks with and without pandas. Let's see an example so that you'll get a better appreciation of why pandas is so powerful and useful. So for this task, I have a data set called the weather data set where I have data. So this is how the data set looks like. For each day, I have temperature, dew point, humidity, sea level pressure, visibility, wind speed. I have multiple data points like this for every day. This is one whole month of data for the month of January in 2016. Okay, and by the way, these dates are MMDDYY. Okay, so those of you who follow the British system, which is DDMMYYYY, don't get confused. This is January 1st, January 2nd, so on and so forth. Right? So all of this data is in a CSV file. Now, to load a CSV file in pandas, it's literally extremely simple. Import pandas as PD and pd.readcsv. It reads a CSV file for you, and I call it DF because data frame. Because in pandas, data frame is the most important data structure. Just like in NumPy, your most important data structure is a multidimensional array. Similarly, in pandas, your most important data structure is called a data frame. Okay, a data frame is nothing but a table. Intuitively, a data frame is nothing but a table. Okay, we'll come to understand what data frames are and some basics of data frames in the next video. For now, let's remember that what pandas stores it as. Let's imagine the data frame is just a table in which everything is stored. Now, if I want to visualize a data frame, all I have to do is just type df, and this is the table I have. Of course, it has EST, which stands for Eastern Standard Time, right? I have temperature, dew point, sea level, visibility. Here I have events. If there is no event that day, it is just NaN, or it could be rain, or it could be fog snow, or it could be snow, right? There are different types of events, right? You have wind direction, you have cloud cover, you have precipitation, wind speed, all these features, which are weather variables, right? Now I've simply loaded the data from CSV in literally one line of code. Just using this one line of code, I have loaded the data from a CSV file by just using a read CSV. Extremely elegant, extremely simple. Now, having seen this, now let's go to answering our questions. What was our question? Our first question was, what is the maximum temperature in the month of January? All I have to say is DF temperature. DF temperature now, so I have my table like this, right? I have my table where each row represents a day. Each row represents a day in the month of Jan. Now I have a temperature column here. When I say DF temperature, it takes this whole column. And if I say max, it now picks the max value here. And the max value is 50. Very simple here, right? Here, I think 50 doesn't mean 50 degrees centigrade, because in New York in summer, you don't get 50 degrees centigrade. I think it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, not centigrade. 50 degrees centigrade, I think, is unheard of in New York City. Anyway, so the next question that we have here is, you want to know on which dates did it rain? That's again very simple. So here you're getting the dates, right? You're saying DFEST, but which dates to pick? You now have a Boolean expression here. This expression says wherever the events column equals to rain, right? You're saying DF events equals to rain. This is a Boolean expression, right? This will return true only for those rows where the events column had the value rain. And all such rows you want to pick up. And this is how you literally get it in one line of code. Similarly, if you want the average wind speed, right? You just get the column which is wind speed miles per hour. You just say DF wind speed miles per hour dot mean. So this gets you the whole column. In your table, right? In your table, there will be a column called wind speed, right? Wind speed miles per hour. You just get that whole column and you say mean, which means the average. So you literally answered the three questions you had in literally 4 lines of code. You loaded the data in 1 line, and for each of these questions, to answer these questions, you just literally needed to write 1 line of code. And for those of you who have not installed pandas, it's very, very simple. You just go to your command line. I'm hoping that you already have pip3 installed. You just say pip3 install pandas, right? It will simply install pandas for you. Pip3 basically stands for Python installer for Python version 3. Okay, so if you have only Python 3, you could just say pip install pandas. If you have not installed it, I hope you have already installed it. In case you've not installed it, please use this. Now comes the fun part, because we have gotten answers for all of these questions in literally 4 lines of code. What would happen if you did not have pandas? Imagine if you did not have pandas, you would have to write a file. See, this is the size of code that you will have to write if you did not have pandas. It's actually a lot of code. Okay, because computing average wind speed, again, you have to do a for loop, all of that, getting average rain, you have to go through each, getting the days of rain, similarly getting maximum temperature. Actually, loading the data itself will take you a lot of lines of code, right? Because you'll have to now understand what is a CSV, how to read a CSV, how to parse a CSV, all that. So what we have here is almost like 30-40 lines of code, which using pandas, I've solved the same problem in literally 4 lines of code. So that's the power of pandas. Prior to pandas, we used to write a lot of code like this, even for simple computations. Pandas made our life extremely simple. From 40 lines of code, 40 plus lines of code, we have gone to 4 lines of code using pandas. That's the power of pandas, especially for data science, where you have to load data and process data in multiple ways. We'll see in the next video about data frames.